Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dental Momentum Podcast powered by Duckett Lad Dental CPAs and Advisors. Jared Duckett back at you with another episode to make you guys better. Guys, if you listen to the last episode, you'll notice that I am flying solo today as the host. Bill Ladd, my business partner, just bounced off doing his own thing. We'll bring him back, but I'm going. Training wheels are off. I'm rolling on this podcast, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and no better way to kick this off than just an awesome guest. I mean, we're going to have so much fun on this episode. Met this gentleman up in Philly at an event, and let's just introduce Dr. Alan Stern, current dental practice owner up in Jersey. Author, coach, Facebook group founder. Just learned he's sleeping with the front desk. We'll get into that, but I tell you what, we're going to have some fun. So Dr. Stern, I'm going to call you Alan. Appreciate you joining us, man.
Sure. Thanks for lighting me up already. But let's make very clear here that my wife and I opened my dental office 34 years ago. And, I was at a course a couple of years ago. I went down to see my good friend, Dr. Mike Fling, did a little refresher on full mouth dentistry. And I was the oldest guy there. Right. Our friend Paul Goodman calls me a GAD, a golden age dentist. I call myself a geezer age dentist. But I was down there with some younger women dentists, and I kind of used that smart line like I used with you before we started. And they asked me if I was in an open relationship, an open marriage. Oh, my God. But my wife and I have created our office from scratch. We were a startup 34 years ago, and we've built it into something that is us. That's me, as the doc. And Fran, my amazing wife, my wonderful wife of 44 and a half years.
Awesome.
She got 5 good years out of that marriage. So, she's got nothing to complain about. But we created this office to our values, to our integrity, and to our image, and to my vision of what a dental practice should be and what a dental patient in my office should experience. So it's really cool. It is really a mom and pop shop, and it's been a good ride for us, a really good ride.
That's awesome. Well, that's what I want to do. I mean, like when I met you in Philly, we just connected, started talking about your story, where you've been, where you're at now in your journey, that we talk a lot about here at Duckett Lab, the dental momentum journey. But that's what I want to do, Alan. Let's go back, right? Let's go back into time. All the way back to, we can go back to dental school or before dental school. Let's just walk through your journey, evolving up to where you are now. So go back, dental school, pre-dental school, and let's talk that through.
All right, we'll make it a little personal, because what I've learned is that we are people here. Dentists are human beings, and we're no different than anybody else. So I will tell you that I'm the son of a Holocaust survivor. And my mother witnessed and experienced atrocities that even by today's standards are awful. And PTSD is a party compared to what my mother went through. And children of Holocaust survivors have a syndrome, and characterized by this, whenever I'd have a hard time with anything growing up, my mother would say, "It's all right, Alan, you're a survivor, you'll survive." That verbiage played very heavily on me, and it's something that I work with, and I learned to work with help, by the way. It's not a matter of surviving, ladies and gentlemen. It's about flourishing. And it took me a long time and a lot of help to figure that out. But it's about flourishing. So take that mindset, you're a survivor, you'll survive, and take it into college, where you're constantly looking over your shoulder, right? Jared Duckett's in my class, and oh my God, he got a 96 on the organic chem test, and I only got a 91. Oh no, the world's coming to an end. And then you get it, and you go through your life like this. Even in high school, you're looking over, you want to get into a good college. In a college, you want to get into a good dental school or medical school, whatever. That environment is so intensely competitive, and it breeds comparison syndrome. We'll talk about that later. Please remind me to get back on that track. Comparison syndrome. It's very important. And then you get into dental school, right? So I've spent, in my youth, I was beat up on, and I don't really want to talk about that too much. But trust me, I was battered.
Yeah.
I had a mother who told me I'm a survivor. I went to high school and college seeing myself as inadequate, so I beat myself up over all those things. Magna cum laude, not, oh, you're not good enough, Alan. Boom, why aren't you summa? Why aren't you valedictorian, so on and so forth. Then you get into dental school and you don't have to beat yourself up anymore. You know why? Because instructors beat you up for you.
Yeah.
And dental school instructors, by the way, are wonderful people. Most of them are just like you and I, plodding their way through the world as best they can. But that culture, whether it's overt or subliminal, is still there. So I get out of dental school with this title doctor. But back in here, oh my God, I'm not anything. I'm worth this much. And you get out into the world, and what do you see? You see the rules changing in the middle of the game. I graduated in 81. Mm-hmm. No old man jokes out of you, pal.
Where'd you graduate from? Where'd you graduate dental school from?
Virginia Commonwealth University.
Okay.
Yeah. And the rules are changing right there. AIDS hit, and all of a sudden we're under a microscope. Oh, gee, doctor, are you HIV positive? Oh, something else I got to worry about. Infection control changed radically. Then we get consumerism, competition, state boards, lawyers, insurance companies coming down on us. Oh my God, it's just a storm.
Yeah.
So you get through all that, you work hard, you get this title doctor, and you still don't have enough. And I suffered from a syndrome that I discovered, and it's called PMD. And I'm sure you're familiar. A lot of your clients treat TMD, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sure. PMD, perpetually miserable dentist.
Mm.
And you've seen it. They have the world in the palm of their hands and they don't know it. And they're miserable anyway. The truth of the matter is, and it took me decades to discover this, and it's my heartfelt calling. You got a little bit of that before we started speaking. It's my heartfelt calling to tell the dental world, that the work that we do is sacred. And there is tremendous opportunity, even today, ladies and gentlemen, even today, with insurance companies anviling us, with COVID wreaking havoc, and it's going to continue to wreak havoc just on a different level. God knows what else is coming down the line. You could be assured that something will. Things are changing more rapidly than even the youngest of us can keep up with. Even there, Jared, there is opportunity to do things that nobody else can do.
Yeah.
And if we embrace that opportunity, we could have what we want.
Hit on two things. One thing you said there, you mentioned during dental school, the professors, et cetera, they kind of, I don't know if you use the term beat down, but they just came at, I wouldn't say came at you, but just didn't make you feel like you maybe were doing well or good. Yeah. Why is that? Why do you think, I hear that from a lot of people. So why do you think that is?
All right. So let's clarify this a little bit, because I have friends who are dental school instructors. I have a friend who's a dean in a dental school. Let's understand something here. Back in the 70s and 80s, when I was being educated, and when the people who are in these tremendous roles of, you want to call it authority or responsibility, this is how we were trained to train. Dental schools were not charged with the responsibility of nurturing. Dental schools were, and to a great degree still are, charged with the responsibility of teaching us how to do what our friend Paul Goodman at Dental Nachos calls full contact arts and crafts.
Yeah.
We were taught to be repairers of teeth, restorers of mouths, whatever. endodontists, periodontists, oral surgeons, orthodontists, etc. So we now have seen the result of that education being, for the most part, and I want to make this very clear, I am not indicting dental school instructors. That's not my purpose at all. But this is how the culture of dental school is. So it left us with a void. It left us with an emotional void. Because, Jared, our work, you're a CPA, right? So all the numbers have to balance.
Sure.
And you can't, numbers are numbers. They either add up right or they don't. In dentistry, there is so much subjectivity and so many microns we have to be really able to get down to without the tools that you accountants have. And that tool is a calculator and a balance sheet, right?
Yeah.
Shows you what I know about accounting, right? It's a
Hey,
lot
you sound pretty good, Alan.
Hire me, man. I'm available. So we are given this expectations of ourselves. And I remember a periodontist lecturing us in a very stern way. I'm warning you, you better do this. Oh my God, what does that do? I'm warning you. It can't be done, because now we have learned over the past 40 or 50 years that dentistry is fraught with a propensity to depression, and the end road of depression is suicide. And if you haven't seen a suicide in dentistry, you have not been involved in dentistry. It's there. It's there in numbers that are unacceptable, and frankly, one is unacceptable.
Yeah.
But it's more than one.
Mm.
I've seen it. I've not witnessed the act, but I've witnessed the end result of that. And it's totally preventable.
Mm. I want to circle back up on that at the end. I want to hit on that, and then the comparison syndrome too.
Yes, very important.
So
very important.
You go through dental school, right? VCU 81, you get out. A lot going on in the world. You mentioned the AIDS pandemic, etc. What'd you do? Did you go work for somebody? Buy a practice, start your own practice? Walk us through that.
I did a general practice residency, which was fine. It was fun. It was interesting. And then, as any person with no self-esteem would do, I went to work for somebody. And it was an interesting experience. I worked for an individual for 5 years. And after a point, I don't want to make any comment about that, but I was motivated to get out on my own because I was not finding what I wanted there. And I'll tell you what we should be looking for as we progress. So I opened my own office from scratch.
Yeah.
I had four plumbed operatories. I furnished one. I equipped one. And I worked for a corporate outside of my office 3 days. I worked in my office 3 days, 6 days, 3 nights. Don't work nights, ladies and gentlemen. Dentistry is not meant to be practiced at night. That's a whole nother story. And I have a humorous anecdote later if you want. But I worked very hard. And after 5 years, I was able to let go of the corporate. By that time, our son had been born. Our son was born 6 months before I opened my office. Mm-hmm. And my daughter was born during the startup phase. So Fran and I worked very hard at this.
Wow, you had a lot going on.
Oh yeah, that's the story of my life. And eventually I built it up, but never thought of myself as adequate. And I'll tell you why. When a patient left the office disgruntled, maybe I'm the only one who had somebody leave my office. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't right for.
It's the first I've ever heard of this. I think. No, just kidding.
Or maybe, listen to this, and don't tell anybody this, okay? Let's share this just between you and me. The heck with everybody watching this. a piece of dentistry didn't turn out perfect on recall. Oh my God, it broke down. And you begin to get that feeling of inadequacy. Then you go out and you start taking continuing ed. Because I never really gave a damn about requirements. I always went out and hunted the sources that would make me the best version of me possible. I wanted to be a really good dentist. So I took grade CE. I went down to Pankey. I finished the Pankey continuum. But when I saw my masters, these great dentists show their work on these big screens, what did I see? I saw my own work as being crap. I can't do what Dr. X did.
Comparison syndrome, right?
Comparison syndrome and perfection syndrome. The reality is, and I came to this much later on in life, and I'll tell you how I did, but these guys just made me better. I had to realize that I couldn't be them. But the Pankey Institute set me on that journey where I pushed myself down a rock bottom, and I really was able to rebound from that with a lot of help and become comfortable in my own skin and happy with who I was.
Yeah.
Who I am.
I mean, walk us through that time though. I mean, really the do whatever it takes mentality, you did it because you started your own office, worked 3 nights in there while still working 3 nights at corporate nights too, to do whatever it takes to finally where you could step away from corporate and then you were full-time in your new scratch start office, right? I mean, that had to be, walk us through what was going through your head, like you and your wife, right? You guys did this together.
Well, my wife is a very special person, and we got married 1 week before we started dental school. And we moved from our native New York 400 miles away to Richmond, Virginia, where we were complete strangers in a strange land. And we were able to strengthen our marriage through our struggle toward what we wanted. And a little bit of my mother's you'll survive thing was in there too. So I did whatever it took. I did, you know, at points I felt sorry for myself. At points I felt, oh my God, why does this guy seem to have all this and seem to have this big practice and seem to do everything right? And why am I screwing up? That went through my head. And so what did I do, Jared? So I had PMD. I was suffering from PMD. So what did I do? Mr. Accountant, I did what any self-respecting dentist would do. I bought a big house.
Yeah.
So I figured I had the big house, right? And in New Jersey, a big house may not be what outside of the Northeast would be considered a big house, but I bought a nice house. I figured I have a nice house, I'd be successful, right?
Did you buy a nice house because you saw the other people have the nice house and thought, well, if they're doing it, I can do it? Or what was your mindset?
That was part of it. Yes, right? That was part of it. The other part of it was I needed a better school system for my children.
Yep.
I engaged some advisors who advised the big boys. I figured if I bought their advice, I'd be a big boy. Wrong. Because their advice wasn't right for me. My dog didn't like that either.
What?
Then I bought a Lexus. Why? Because big boys drive a Lexus. I'll drive a Lexus because I'm a big boy. I could be just like them. And then the pièce de résistance. I bought live advertising on local radio. Now, you know I love to speak, and I've got a good voice. I sounded just like a big boy. Dr. Alan Stern, speaking of dentistry, every Tuesday morning live. And I had a great time. And by the way, I made some great friends to this day through my radio advertising, but radio advertising is expensive.
Sure.
So is a Lexus.
Now, real quick, how far into your journey are you? How far after you've now full-time in your scratch start practice? You're talking about a couple
15 years.
15 years. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got all the things that the big boys have. But what else did I have? a pile of debt that I had no increase in income to work my way out of. So I got rid of, so what did I do there? There was an 800-pound gorilla in the room. I had to sell my house under duress. Not bankruptcy, but Fran and I were living paycheck to paycheck in our 50s. Holy smoke, what kind of reality is that?
Mm-hmm.
And I finally found a financial advisor about 15 years ago who guided me through, told me what kind of hole I was in, gave me a plan. And a number of years ago, he said to me, hey, Alan, why don't you sell the house? Say what? My ego, my status, sold the house. I gave up the radio gig. I kept the car. But I cried when I sold the house, Jared. I live in a townhouse. What the hell is that for a guy who's now 40 years experienced, live in a townhouse? But you know what? That was my financial reality. That was the business mistakes and the financial mistakes that I made and I owned based on my decisions. I'm not blaming anybody.
So walk us through just real quick. You meet this financial advisor who comes to you with that, hey, Alan, why don't you sell the house? How long did it take to make that decision or to get to your head? Yeah, okay, I see it. Because initially, right, you had to be like, no, I'm not selling the house, I would assume.
Yeah.
Was it an easy decision or was it like forever? You're like wrestling back and forth to kind of make these decisions?
It wasn't forever, but it took us about 6 months of what ifing.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm married to the right girl. And she's very grounded. And the lesson that I learned was live below your means and life becomes very good. Because about 6 months after I sold the house, right after we sold the house, right behind me is a Fazino picture of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's where we love. I said to her, Fran, we okay going to Vegas and having a good time? She said, yeah. And we were both out of shape, overweight. Can we hire a nutritionist and personal trainer? Yeah, we got money for that. And all of a sudden, life started getting better. And I remember the spring after the summer where I sold my house, I was running on the boardwalk on the Jersey Shore. And I remember exactly where I was. I was running north, right on the, for anybody who knows New Jersey, the Spring Lake Belmar border on the boardwalk. I looked to my right, I looked out at the ocean, and it occurred to me, no matter how much or how little I may be earning, I have more than most people will imagine having in their lifetime. And I have less than some. Yeah, so what's up with that? What's wrong with that? It's not that I am inadequate compared to the masters of dentistry. It's that they make me better every day. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, that last part of what you said, I have more than most people, but less than some.
Yeah,
that's the like hard part. That's the hard part for people to be, I'm going to say, comfortable with. Less than some. You have to be comfortable with that, right?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is it comparison syndrome? Is that what it is?
No, it's because we dentists, yeah, it's perfection syndrome and it's expectations that exceed reality. The thing is, Jared, that we don't know. All I see is Dr. X driving this car in this neighborhood with a practice that looks like it might be this, talking about the great things in their life. We don't know, and this is the big point, we don't know what price that person paid or is paying to be what they seem to be. And that's why we see, going back to suicide, very often money is the tipping point that sets these people over the edge. But the lesson that I learned that I'm totally in love with now, I love my townhouse. It's liberation, man. I'm telling you, Fran and I are going to Vegas in March, and we are going to, or maybe April, depending, just a couple of variables have to fall into place. And we're going to have a blast, and we're not going to care.
Boom. Love it.
So get the 800-pound gorilla out of the room. Jared, we are endowed in the United States of America with 3 unalienable rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of a Tesla. No, wait a minute, no. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of a big, no. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So if we can come to understand what makes us happy in dentistry, how much we are willing to put of ourselves into it, and create that balance and be comfortable in our own skin. I know guys who have these practices, these multi-operatory practices. They run like wild men from room to room, or women. They churn a ton of dentistry. They earn a ton of money. And some are happy, some are not. I cannot be that dentist. It's neither right or wrong. It's me.
And you're comfortable with that.
Find your core values, live within your integrity. And integrity is defined by my friend John Blumberg as the expression of your core values. Let that drive you. Dentistry gives you the freedom to choose whatever style of practice you want. You can be an employee, you can be a high volume, you could be insurance, you can be fee for service, you could be Pankey, Coyce, Dawson, LVI, Howard Farran, any of these guys. If they match you, go ahead, but don't try to be them. Take what they have and incorporate it into what makes you special, and express your practice that way, and create a team around you that doesn't walk behind you, that walks alongside of you.
Yeah, that is so good. You guys listening right now, rewind 1 minute and 30 seconds to exactly what he just went over. I mean, that is impactful.
It's
what
truth,
you just said.
man. It's truth. You do not be what you are. Jared, I would dare say you've created your firm to yours and Bill's vision.
Wasn't always that way, though.
That's right. This is a universal truth. If you are practicing within your core values and you're happy, and you find that sweet spot where you earn a living doing good while doing well by your definition, what the hell else do you want?
Yeah,
you're there.
So go back. You mentioned you started talking to advisors or consultants who were consulting the big boys, right? Were they, in essence, and I'm not placing blame, you made the decisions, I get this.
There's no blame.
Right. Were they advising doing things that weren't, you said the live radio and all that stuff, that just wasn't in line with where maybe you thought you wanted to go, but not really where the true Alan wanted to go?
Part of it was they thought they were taking me to a place where I wanted to go. I was not clear enough. So I did not see that the price I was paying was not taking me to where I wanted to go, because it wasn't me. It was too expensive. I was not generating the bucks for it, and I was not able to generate the bucks for it. Why is that? We could talk all day about that.
Yeah.
But I found the sweet spot. And by the way, would I do anything different? Probably not. Because here we go, guys, and this is a 40-year practitioner telling you this. Every adversity that I went through, and I've been through a lot more than what I've outlined here, has made me what I am today. And it's enabling me to teach these things and to live these things. And I can work with people, I can empathize and relate to people who are doing the highest level stuff. And I can empathize and relate with people who are not, because I've been all over there, and I've spoken to so many people, so many names that I could spell out. And I'll tell you one thing. Nobody's got it all together.
Yeah.
Nobody. And we can all improve. The issue is to use our challenges, not to beat us into the ground, to define ourselves as victims of something, but to elevate us to higher levels. If we do that, then we're doing good.
Is it safe to say, or no, I'll ask it this. You've been practicing, you said 40 years, right?
Yeah.
Are you happier now every day getting up, going into your dental office than you have ever been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know who I am. I know what I want to do. I am so blessed to have, we used to call them employees. Then we call them staff, right? They're employees by law. Now that's your job. Team is pretty good, but I think we have a little community. My wife is obviously, we are married, we are one, we are of one mindset. Well, except when we argue, but
Oh, it happens,
40
right?
years. And like I said, she got 5 good years out of it. She got nothing to complain about. But I have a world-class hygienist, Jessica, who is a world-class human being who we love like a daughter. And there is nothing we wouldn't do for each other. My assistant, Allison, is just this happy-go-lucky, loving piece of work. And she's quite the character, but she wants to learn, she wants to grow. And we have, Jared, something I speak about a lot, a culture of love in our office. That's the missing ingredient, by the way, in a lot of things that we see. We have a culture of love where we are in it for each other. And they don't work for me, they work with me. And we work for the mission of our office, which is unique to us. So we are together. They don't walk behind me. They walk beside me. And we do our thing. And we really care. The care for one another translates into the care for the people who come to see us.
And that is so good. If every dental practice owner had that mindset like you just went through, I mean, it'd be so much better. I mean, it's hard to get that mindset.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard, but it's doable.
Yeah.
It's hard to do some of the things your accountant tells you to do. And by the way, I've screwed some of them up. And in fact, I've got to send my accountant a lifelong supply of Advil. But it's easy to follow the path of least resistance. But at the end, if you do all these things, like define who you are, decide who you are, decide how dentistry is going to make you happy, stop looking over your shoulder and look at what you have and cherish what you have. Create, you teach your clients, what's your BAM? What's your bare minimum, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Know that. And what more do you want? And work on that. All right, I got my BAM. What else do I want? And what am I willing, what's it going to cost me? And am I willing to pay for it? So if we understand that, and that happiness and love can exist in any dental office, and if in fact you're an employee, if you are an employee doc, if you're an assistant, a hygienist or administrator in a place where there is no such culture, establish that culture in your little operatory, in your little domain, at your little front desk, in your segment, and it'll be infectious.
That is so good. Let's go back. I'm going to go back and revisit this, the comparison syndrome. We've said it 2 or 3 times already.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal in any occupation, right? Any field,
Yes.
any industry. How do you overcome? You've overcome it, but what advice, how do you overcome just the natural human tendencies to compare and always want to get to whatever else you see, if that makes sense?
Sure. First thing you do is embrace it, recognize it. And if I tell you that I don't have comparison in my head, I'd be lying.
Sure, I would be too.
I'd destroy my credibility. And by the way, I believe very seriously in credibility. So what you do is you embrace it. And you say, oh, come on, Alan, knock it off. Will you please? You know better. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. There's Fran at the front desk. There's Jess and Allison with me. There's John, the patient I love. And yeah, all right, there's Dr. X. There are 3 general dentists in my condo complex. She's doing better than I am. She drives a BMW and I drive a Lexus. Oh, man. She's busy. I think she is. She places her own implants. I don't. What's wrong with me? Alan, are you happy with what you're doing? Yeah. You making enough? Yeah. You on track? Yeah. You got love in the office? Yeah. How many patients are coming into the office that you don't like? I can't think of any. And you just center yourself. I have got 2 fantastic adult children. One of them, my daughter just got married last May. And I've got a wonderful son-in-law and a fantastic son and a circle of friends that can't be beat. Growing and growing. I've got a Facebook following that I never could have dreamed. Alan, shut up. You're doing all right.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Alan. Yeah, all right, let's get back to work. So embrace it. Fear, stress, comparison, perfection, they are emotions. And emotions are fleeting. Let it pass.
Yeah.
All right, you've had your say. I'm going back to work.
It's so easy to hear that. Again, rewind this a minute and hear what he just said. It's so easy to hear that because it sounds simple. It's so hard to do, isn't it?
It's hard
so
to do.
hard to do.
Yes. And here's something else, doctors and accountants and assistants and hygienists and administrators. Here's something else. If you think that I overcame this by myself, you work out, Jared?
Yeah, try.
So I've got 2 torn rotator cuffs in my shoulders. How did I fix them? Went to therapy. Got physical therapy. Not a day of surgery, by the way.
Yeah.
I have a herniated disc, 2 torn rotator cuffs, and a partial torn meniscus. And my running career may be over. All right, I'm over that, but I got a good cardio workout. I have to regain the muscle that I lost in lockdown like everybody else, and I'm working on it. But how did I do that? I went to a physical therapist. My thinking was a little bent out of shape. What did I do? I consulted. I was blessed to have met a world famous therapist, and Dr. Arnold Lazarus, who passed away a number of years ago, really altered my thinking. Dr. Dana Ackley, a psychologist who's a peak performance coach, altered my way of thinking. And I use those lessons each and every day. So if you can't get there by yourself, that's no problem. Our patients don't fix their own teeth. They need us.
Yep.
The mistake we make is that we are doctors. We are not. We're doctors of dentistry. You're a, so to speak, doctor of money. But there are other areas where we need help. We need the accountants. I can't. If I tried to do my own accounting, what kind of disaster would I have?
Yeah. You need help from others.
Pardon me?
You need help from others.
You need help from others.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be shy, especially in this day and age where all this stuff is wreaking havoc on us. Don't be afraid to consult a therapist.
Yeah.
Don't be
afraid to ask for help.
You're going to grow. Let somebody open up your eyes to your blind spots, because you're doing sacred work in the world, doctors and assistants and hygienists and admins. You're doing sacred work.
That is so good.
That.
So good. Alan, let's tangent just a bit. And I've got more things I want to cover. So if you got more time, let's roll just a bit.
Whatever you want, Jared.
Author, introduction, right? Author, coach, Facebook group founder,
Yes.
Hit on that. Hit on the book, hit on what you're doing with the coaching, and then hit on the Facebook group.
So all of the lessons that I've learned, all the stuff we've talked about, and then more, every bit of junk that entered into my life has now become a teaching point. And there are so many dentists out there who are going through what I went through. And I know I can help them. So what did I do? I founded Better, Richer, Stronger. And there's a story behind that, and I'll break down crying if I do it. So I'm not going to tell you that story.
Right on.
Maybe
All right.
offline, I'll tell you the story. But I founded Better, Richer, Stronger about 5 years ago. And what I want to do there, as a result of my recovery from all the mistakes I made, I am a better dentist. I have a greater net worth than I ever imagined. And damn, I held a plank for 10 and a half minutes at age 66.
Oh, I'd go 2 minutes and I'd fall on my face.
Yeah, well, I can show you how to do that. And I've got to get that back, by the way. I lost part of it. I will get it back.
Yeah.
So I created Better, Richer, Stronger. I speak to study clubs, small and large groups. You name it, I'll speak to it. I coach individual dentists. I run webinars through Better, Richer, Stronger. That is my Facebook group. I have I have a wonderful program running today, which will be recorded and archived on Better, Richer, Stronger with Mary Osborne, who is one of my mentors. And we're going to talk about the dentist hygienist conundrum, that people are leaving dentistry in droves. And there's a reason why, and there's a remedy for it, based on lessons that I've learned from Mary and so many others. So I have written stuff, I have video stuff on there, and opportunities to participate in different types of learning opportunities, learning sessions with me and with masters. And that group is very active. It's growing, as is my coaching endeavors, as are my speaking endeavors. This message, I am very, very compelled to get out there, because there's happiness in dentistry, Jared. And I will not lay down. I will not stand aside and watch people go down that wormhole into what's at best a drudgery of a career, at worst, depression and suicide, and what could be, for every daggone one of us, a career and a life of happiness. We can find it. Yeah. Dentistry is so enabling and so powerful. We just got to see it.
Yeah, you're so passionate about this. I mean, if you guys are listening, you can feel it, but if you're watching too, you can see how passionate he is about this, this cause to just get better. And that there is a happy, I think you said that dentistry can be happy. You can be happy in dentistry, and it can be fun.
Happiness is a choice, Jared.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Hit on the book. You pulled it up. We were talking about it at the beginning before we started recording this, dude. Hit on the book. Show it there real fast.
Hit on the book. You want me to hit on the book?
Hit on the book.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Hey, baby, want me to buy you a drink? I'm hitting on the book.
Enjoy the ride. Man.
Enjoy the ride. Look, humor is an essential part of what I do with my patients, with my team, and with my clients, with everybody. Humor is important because it feels good to smile and laugh. Hey, baby, want to laugh?
That's so good.
So
40 years of dentistry. Look at it.
What's that?
I said 40 years of dentistry. Look at it.
That's right. And I ain't done. I'm just getting started, man. I'm 68 years old and I'm just getting started. So this is my calling, Jared. And my dear friend, Mark LeBlanc, who is another one of my mentors, I sat down, spoke with him about Better, Richer, Stronger. He says, you're writing a book. I said, but. He said, no, Alan, you're writing a book. The great Linda Miles and Lois Banta also. Alan, you're writing a book. So I could take a hint.
You're writing a book, Alan.
I wrote
and
the
you
book.
wrote a book. Yeah.
Yeah. And it turned out well. It was bestseller when it came out 2 years ago. Yeah. And it's still available on Amazon. And I bring them with me when I speak. So I'm very proud of it. It's everything we talked about and then more. It expands on my story and my why and what happened all along the ride. and how I turned my career into something happy and how anybody can do it. There are so many people who've been down in the dumps in dentistry and outside of dentistry. And all you got to do is just turn it around, dust yourself off, get the proper help, because you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
If you want to get there fast, go there yourself, and it ain't going to last. If you want to get there for a long time and have it hold, find somebody to take you along the ride.
Yeah. It's the
whether
whole
it's
concept,
me or anybody else.
Shorten the learning curve, right? People can learn from what you've done in your 40-year career. They get with you, you coach them, etc. Read the book. They shorten that learning curve and get to where they want quicker as a result of what you've gone through, and can help them with that.
And build it on a solid foundation rather than on a transient set of thoughts. Build it on a solid foundation.
That's so good, man.
Yeah.
So good. I tell you what, you're enjoying the ride, my friend. That is good stuff.
And just hold that thought for 1 second.
Yeah. My
life is far from perfect. Show me a person without stress and I'll show you a cadaver. So ladies and gentlemen, don't get the misperception that I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning saying, oh boy, life is great, man. No, it ain't that way. It ain't that way, but I'm happy. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got 2 beautiful kids and a wonderful son-in-law. I've got a great circle of friends. I got a practice that is me. I've got a couple of people beside me, and I have enough. I have enough, and I'm happy.
So good, man. So good.
Thanks, Jared.
Let's roll. You ready for the DL Final 5?
Bring it, baby. Bring it.
All right, here it comes. Number 1, final 5 questions here. What's your best piece of advice? Boy, you got a lot of it. But best piece of advice for new dentists today coming out of dental school?
You know what? I'm bigger than you are, so you're not going to limit me to 1. Number 1, get a good accountant and a good financial advisor. No, that's imperative, because if you can't keep the lights on, you can't find your happy. So get good financial advice. Number 2, look for what you're new out of school, get a diversity of experience, and develop a dental practice philosophy. Number 3, stop comparing, practice happy, and live your life. Love is the answer. Create a culture of love. That's my one thing, Jared.
That might be the best answer. This is the first DL Final 5. You might have knocked it out of the park for the history of this. All right. That's good. That's good. Number 2, most influential book you've ever read.
You are not limiting me to 1. So, Outward Mindset by the Arbinger Institute. Outward Mindset. Think that you are here for others, not that others are here for you. Humble Inquiry by Edgar Schein. Humility tells us that we need one another. Anything by Brene Brown.
Yeah.
Anything. She's written dozens of books and TED Talks, anything by her. There's your influence right there.
Love it. I love it. I haven't heard the first 2. I haven't read the first 2, but I will. Brene Brown, those gold.
Read those 2 books and get your clients to read them too, Jared. They're so important.
Love it. Love it. Number 3, most influential person in your life and why?
1, yeah, right.
You're so cheating on this. I'm just kidding. Go.
You bet. You bet. I'm making the rules here.
I love it.
Cut me off anytime you want. The great Dr. Sandy Parrott, who was my first instructor at the Pankey Institute. I can never thank him enough. Mary Osborne, and Joan Unterschutz, 2 of the most brilliant minds in this profession today. They are my big sisters. I will learn anything from them at any time. And you could see Mary live on Better, Richer, Stronger this afternoon. Today is September 10th at 5 o'clock Eastern. You want brilliance. You want to know where I come from. I come from Mary and Joan. Mark LeBlanc, my business coach. one of the most brilliant business minds ever, and one of the most decent human beings to walk the face of the earth. Marilee Sears, the practice coach who turned me around a number of years ago. She's my guardian angel. And my mother.
Love it. Love it.
Who teaches me more in death than she did in life.
That is so good, man. So good. It's just surrounding. I'm going off tangent here. I'm supposed to stay on the questions, but
thanks. I'm sorry that
takes so
that's a
many
breaker for me.
Many other individuals to help you get to where you're at, right? And
Yeah.
then, you know, most influential person you mentioned, off 5, and then of course your mother. It's
There's so many more.
Yeah,
There's
that's
so many
good.
more.
I might have to revise the question. That is so good.
Yeah.
Number 4, what toothbrush you currently using?
I use a Sonicare. I've been a Sonicare guy for over 20 years. There are many of them out there. Sonicare is just friends and my favorite. And we recommend that to most of our patients.
Awesome. I mean, you've provided a ton of value on this episode. I don't know how you can really answer this last question, but I know you will. What's the biggest takeaway that you hope listeners listening to this episode that'll take away from it?
Always learn. Never be ashamed. Seek help where you need it. And create a culture of love wherever you go, and pursue happiness.
Knocked it out of the park, man. You aced the DL Final 5.
There you go.
All right. The 6th question. How can people reach out to you, Alan? How can they get in contact with you?
The best way, email me, betterricherstronger@gmail.com. Please join my Facebook group, Better, Richer, Stronger. My website is a work in progress. It really needs updating. I will be updating it sometime in the next 12 months. But the Facebook site, Better, Richer, Stronger, has a ton. And again, I don't mean to sound immodest, but there is a treasure trove of knowledge on my Sunday reflections every week, on my daily posts, and in the archives of what I've videoed. My videos they're really good. And they're with some of the finest people to grace the earth, let alone our profession.
Yeah, that is, that's all. Your Sunday reflections. You guys go check out the Facebook group. I mean, the Sunday reflections are spot on. I mean, it's just, you can tell from this individual, he's so passionate about his journey, his ride that he's been on and still is on, and just happier today than he's ever been. Absolutely love it, my friend.
Thank you, Jared.
Definitely. You guys out there listening to this episode, I mean, I couldn't have picked a better first guest to get this kicked off, you know, being the solo host. But guys, if you're listening to this today, watching it, whatever, double S, double R, I say it all the time. Share this with somebody that you think would benefit from it. Alan has gone through, go ahead.
May I interject one more thing?
For sure, 100%.
Never in my life could I have imagined being in this position today, having a gentleman of your caliber say such kind and wonderful things about me, to have influence on this profession. This is my dream come true. I want to welcome you to yours because you can get it. Let me welcome you to your dream come true.
That is, golly, I've said it how many times? This is so good. That is just, I mean, see, guys, listen, somebody out there is going to benefit from listening to this episode. Share it. Share it with somebody who you think could resonate. And everybody can resonate with the message Alan's going through today. But share it. As always, subscribe to the podcast, guys. Get this directly to you. Again, we're going to continue to bring on high caliber guests just like Alan, provide value, help you guys through your journey. Give us a rating, give us a review. This is dynamite, man. We were going to go 30 minutes and I looked up. I'm like, heck no, we're not stopping this thing. We're rolling, man. We're rolling. Maybe they'll split this up into 2. Who knows? But this is.
You might want to do that.
Yeah, this is good, man. I mean, you guys reach out to Alan, get in the group, shorten that learning curve. A lot of people are going through comparison syndrome, perfection syndrome. I do it too. I'm always comparing myself to other people. It's a human tendency. Get with Alan, embrace it, right? It happens. Embrace it. Get comfortable with it, you know, because I love what you said. And I'm going to end this, but I love what you said when you were running or whatever. Yeah. And you said, I have more than most but less than some. Who cares if you have less than some? You got more than most. That's what you need to be comfortable with.
Yes.
Man, so good. So
All
good.
right.
Alan, I appreciate it, man. You guys out
Yeah.
there, have a great day. Talk to you guys soon. Keep getting better. We'll see you guys.
Thank you, Jared.